I want to apologize for my lighting and how I look right now. I'm in the process of moving and I'm living with my parents and I'm not in the best setup with the best lighting. So I hope that's okay with everybody. But that's okay because I'm not doing most of the talking tonight. I am here to introduce our very special guest. So like I said, this is the NOAHCon replay series. What this is we are taking sessions from the NOAA conference that maybe you went to and you loved it, you want to see it again. Maybe you didn't get to go to it, or maybe you didn't even get to go to the NOAA conference at all. But no matter why you're here, we just wanted to bring some of these to the virtual space. So we're doing one a month until the end of the year. Um, August's call is going to be My MO for O&M. It's a panel about different O&M tactics and skills. So that's going to be exciting. And we're working right now on our call for September. So just keep an eye out. Like I said, once you're signed up for all of them. So you should definitely come check out the other ones. But I'm really glad to see so many people here tonight. And we have a very special guest, Bobbie Maloy. And I'm very excited, Bobbie, because I did not get, thank you, Emma. Emma said in the chat, you look great, Casey. It's very, very kind. It's just the lighting is a little cray cray. And so I didn't get to see Bobbie's presentation at NOAA conference. I was doing a different session. And so I'm really excited. I'm assuming you all are too. And so I'm going to let Bobbie introduce herself and take it away. However, I will say, if anyone has comments or questions during this talk, please put them in the chat and I'll keep an eye on the chat and we can read them. And or after this talk, you can just unmute yourself and ask them if you'd rather do that than type them. So yeah, without further ado, Bobbie, you can take it away.
All right. Well, hi, everybody. I can see some of y'all's faces. Probably should change my view so I'm staring at like everybody. But I'm Bobbie Maloy. I am a transformational coach, and I specialize in helping people tap into confidence. So we're going to talk about confidence today. Hopefully that's something that you guys are here to learn and get some more of. So
Confidence.
One of my favorite quotes ever is sometimes all you need is 20 seconds of insane courage. Literally just 20 seconds of embarrassing bravery, and I promise you something good will come of it. This is a quote said by Benjamin Mee from We Bought a Zoo. He was explaining to his kids how he met his wife and literally everything that kind of happened after there. And I thought this was really interesting because I've been studying confidence for a long time now. And this is probably one of the most succinct ways to actually explain how to get started in confidence. Because, we often have been told that confidence is a feeling. We want to feel confident. So go ahead and put in the chat a 1 if you've ever said, I want to feel confident or I want to feel more confident. And let the chat light up, hopefully, with a bunch of 1s. Because a lot of times that's the language that we speak. We want to feel more confident. The problem is that what we're going to get into here over the next hour is you're going to find out that that's literally impossible to do. It is impossible to feel more confident, and I'm going to explain why. So let me kind of backtrack a little bit because we'll get into that. Is how many times when you were younger did you get asked, what do you want to be when you grow up? I mean, I imagine for several of us, it's kind of, we got a lot of them when we were younger, and sometimes we kind of get asked the same thing. I still trying to figure out what I want to be when I grow up. But we're asked this as young kids, and then we go to school for career day. And if you've ever watched a room full of children show up to career day, it's fascinating. You've got doctors and lawyers and astronauts and, the one guy that shows up as Batman, right? Like, we are not restricted in that sense of excitement on who we want to be when we grow up, even if that is a superhero. So when I was being asked in high school, that kind of, what do you want to be when you grow up? I kind of middle school into high school. I wanted to be a country music star, right? I was all about it. I had my guitar and I'm like jamming away. For those of you that have not been graced by my amazing karaoke prowess, let's go. I'll do that at any day, anytime. I love karaoke. But I wanted to be a country music star. And like, I'm like, yeah, this is going to happen. I spent my entire senior year in the band room. Like, music was my life. And then at one point in time, I want to say it's probably a senior, my dad sat me down and he said, "You're not going to make any money being a musician. You should think about doing something that pays better." Now, let me tell you, my father was not wrong. He was not bad, and he wasn't trying to crush my dream. In fact, he was being the best parent he knew how to be. He wanted the best for me, and he knew what a starving musician looked like. He knew what the potential of me making it to like Taylor Swift levels of success. He's like, "I don't want you to struggle your whole life." So he meant well. But what I took on was this idea of be reasonable, right? You guys ever been told be reasonable with your dreams? You know what that does to somebody's confidence? When you're like, this is what I want to do, and I'm so excited to do it, but I have to be reasonable. So I'm going to have you put a number 2 in the chat if you've thought that what you wanted to do when you were growing up isn't what you're doing today. So go ahead and put a 2 in the chat if that's you and if that resonates with you. Because the reality is most of us were told be reasonable, and we lost that feeling of confidence to not just go after our career, but to go after more than what we ever thought was possible, because we were told be reasonable. So now we start to hear that voice in the back of our head. I'm not good enough. You're never going to make the money that you want to make doing this. Like all of these things that we hear in our heads. And so I was reasonable. I went to Marine Corps boot camp. That totally made my dad proud. He's like, "Yeah, awesome. You went to the Marines." And here's the deal. If you want to talk about a way to absolutely figure out what your internal worth is, I don't necessarily know that I would recommend going to the military, right? Their job is to break you down until you are at your lowest point so that they can build you back up again as a unit. Because think about the military. And whether it's the Marines or any other branch of the service, however, the Marines are phenomenal at doing this, right? In order for the Marines to be the amazing fighting force that they are, the unit that they are, they have people from around the country and the world sometimes show up, and we've all learned different ways to grow up, to do things, to the different ways to do everything. So we were torn down so that they could build us back up the way that they wanted, right? When I tell you torn down, did you know that there is a right way to put your pants on? I didn't, not until I went to the Marines. Did you know that there's a right foot to step off on when you begin walking? Again, I didn't know that. There's a right way to eat. There is a right way to speak. There's a right way to carry yourself. I didn't know that until I was broken down to the point where they could then begin building me up. Here's the problem. I got hurt about 6 weeks into training. So right at that pinnacle of the fact that they had been breaking me down. So remember, I'm 18 years old. And of course, I was the best thing ever walking in, but they broke me down enough. And that's when I got hurt and sent home. So here I am, now 18 years old. I have no confidence. I don't think I'm worth anything because even the Marines didn't want me. And I believed that my value was, to quote the phrase that they used in the Marines, lower than whale shit, and that's at the bottom of the ocean. That's where I stood. That's what I believed in myself. So I took all kinds of jobs where all they needed was a body, because I didn't believe I was better than that. So I used to be a stock person, right? I worked for Staples. I don't know if you guys know what that is. I think it still exists today, right? For office supplies and stuff like that. And as a stock person, I would scale the racks to get to the thing at the top before waiting for their little machine to come over, because I'm like, my life isn't worth anything. I'll just run up there and grab it. Like, that's where I was, so low that I wasn't confident I could do anything right or anything good. And I certainly wasn't worth anything better. So when I tell you that I understand what it feels like to be stuck in that pit of despair, I mean it. I was there. So this went on for probably 4, 5, 6 months. And then one day I woke up and said, why do I think this about myself? I didn't have an answer. I don't know why I asked myself that question. I just did. Like, why do I think that? And I'm like, well, you're not worth anything. And then I moved on. Then the next day I asked myself again, why do I think this? And then I started asking questions like, well, what do I do about it? How do I pull myself out of this? Because I can't keep living like this. I can't keep living like my life isn't worth something. And it's not just a body. I did that so much that 3 years later, I went back to the Marines. This time I graduated. So I can say with gusto that I went through boot camp 1.5 times, and I did actually graduate the second time. So I did become a U.S. Marine. And it's in that growing, it's in that pulling myself out of that true pit of despair and everything else, and then learning what it truly meant to do something that very few people on this earth have done. There's a reason they call it the few, the proud, the Marines. When you take that and then the rest of the last several decades and put that all together, that's why I'm here to talk to you guys about confidence. So Merriam-Webster's dictionary, and or dictionary.com for those of you who are younger than 35, defines confidence as full trust, belief in the powers, trustworthiness, or reliability of a person or thing. So think about that for a second. Where in this definition is the word feeling? Where in this definition is the word emotion? Right? I want to feel more confident. Oh man, I've lost my confidence, right? All of this, I can't do it. I want to find this feeling. It's not, because confidence is not a feeling. Confidence is a belief. And that's the key. That's the thing that's going to help us understand how do we tap into confidence, and how do we find it, and how do we build it. So I'm going to break this down into 3 lessons for you, okay, on how to build confidence. Lesson number 1, courage is a decision. Again, not a feeling. So courage is standing in fear and doing the thing anyways. Courage is not doing something without fear. And it is not doing something, fearless. Courage is standing in fear, being in the room where you are afraid, in the moment when you are afraid, and doing it anyways. Okay? So when I was in boot camp, They told us that they were going to figure out what we were afraid of. They would find it. They said, everybody has a fear. We will find it and we will help you through it. So I was on the aptly named confidence course, which is just a bunch of different obstacles designed to put you in common fears and give you their way of trying to understand how to get over that fear, how to have the courage to act in the face of fear. The obstacle that got me was this thing called the slide for life. Okay, so I want you to picture this. You have a single ladder going up 2.5 stories high that you have to first start by climbing 2.5 stories high. We're outside 2.5 stories. And so you're climbing up this ladder. You get up to this platform and the platform is no bigger than the average dinner table. And there is me and a drill instructor up there. Now, I don't know if you guys know what a drill instructor is, but it's someone whose sole purpose in life is to make sure your life is miserable. At least that's what I thought at the time. So I'm 2.5 stories up and I'm told that this rope that goes from this platform all the way down to the ground is how I'm going to get down. So when you look over 2.5 stories up, the first third of that rope is protected by a net at the very bottom. And the other 2/3 is over open water. We are supposed to center that rope straight down our body. So remember, facing down, straight down our body. Our rear foot is going to hang over it like this with the other side hanging down straight as our balance. And we're to pull ourselves hand over hand forward down this rope. Now, if I have done a good job explaining what this is, I figured out at that moment that I was afraid of heights because I looked down and said, absolutely not. There's no way I'm going to do this. And I am certainly not going down the way you told me to do it. My drill instructor told me I had 2 ways of getting off that platform, the way they showed me or the way that they chose. But going down the ladder was not an option. So I don't know if you guys have ever experienced a moment where you can't go back for whatever reason. You know, maybe you've made it so far across a road and it's safer to continue down the other side, the other half of the road. Or, you've ended one chapter of your life and going back isn't an option. Sometimes that happens to us in the world. And we usually have 2 options. We can choose the way somebody else gives us, or we can choose the one way that we have control over, even if we don't like it. So I was absolutely not going to let a drill instructor help me down. I went on that rope. And so I'm pulling, shaking every moment. This is what courage looks like. Shaking so bad, but doing it one pull at a time. Now, halfway through this rope, I'm supposed to flip over somehow, being this magician, grab the back of the rope with one foot, put the other foot this way, and now I'm hanging from the rope, continuing down like this. Needless to say, I'm still afraid of heights. They're not my thing. But I've learned that I will survive. I did end up in the water, so I wasn't able to completely hold that rope all the way down. But I learned that I would still survive. And if I didn't, honestly, at that point in time, I wasn't going to care. So if you can have this courage in the face of fear, that's step 1 for confidence. Because you have to be able to do it. That's part of confidence, is that full trust, right? So courage, even when fear is present, because it's really the only time you can be courageous. All right, step 2. Confidence is built in the doing, not before it. Okay? So I don't know how many of you have ever tried to do something new, but no matter what it is, we all start with this real false sense of confidence, right? We're like, yeah, we're totally gonna do this. We're so excited. Yay! And then usually something happens. An instructor or somebody's like, that's not how you do that. Or have you thought about doing it this way? Or you'd be more successful doing it this way. So our confidence it jumps all the way up with this idea of false confidence, and then it kind of plummets down into what I call the phase of struggle. It's self-doubt. This is why anytime we do something new, yep, we're real excited about it, and then we hit that point that makes us go, I am not entirely sure that I'm going to make it through this. That phase of struggle, valley of despair, self-doubt. If we were to stop at that moment, you're never going to find the confidence that you're good at what you're trying to do. Because the only experience you have is that false confidence, and then you've left yourself in this valley of self-doubt. So in order to pull out of that, we need to take action before confidence is there. So if you're learning an instrument, right? Yeah, I'm real excited I can do this. And then it drops down. You're like, man, I suck at this. I'm not going to be able to do this. But you pick the instrument up every day and you practice. Now, my instructors would tell me that practice makes perfect. They would be wrong. Practice makes permanent. Perfect practice makes perfect, right? So if you're practicing something wrong, it has to be corrected later on down the road, right? I'm sure we've all had to do that, where we've had to unlearn bad habits. But in the action of even having to unlearn bad habits, we're still doing the steps and taking action to get further along than we were when we were stuck in that valley of self-doubt. Right? When I sat down, when I wanted to always write a book, right? For years. I mean, probably a decade or more at this point, I wanted to write a book. I kept telling myself, man, I really want to write a book, but I wasn't doing anything about it. Do you think I had the confidence that I could write a book when all I sat down was say, I want to write a book, I want to write a book? Nope. So I started pulling myself out of this lack of doing anything, and I started taking action. Little action. Setting up, instead of, I'm going to write a book someday, I took small action steps. I said, I'm going to write for 5 minutes a day. Just 5 minutes. Because in that action of writing, even for 5 minutes, over time, I had a chapter written. And then 2 chapters and 3 chapters. And eventually, I had a whole book. Because I took the action of writing. Then I became confident that I could write a book, because in the action of doing it, I now had that evidence stacked up behind me. This is pulling ourselves out of that self-doubt and building trust that I can do the thing that I say I want to do. From there, you go into the building trust into this thing called unshakable confidence, because you've done it so many times, you're confident you can do that. You know, if you do something 365 days a year, you're pretty darn confident that you can continue doing it, because you have a string of evidence behind you of action steps saying this is the way that this is going to be. All right. Lesson 3 is self-trust is keeping your word to yourself. Right? So confidence is the full trust in your trustworthiness and all those types of things. But how do we build that trust? Well, we build the trust in starting to keep our word to ourselves. Okay. What does that mean? Does that mean that I have to keep my word to myself that I want to write a book, or keep my word to myself that I'm going to build a successful business? Nope. It's showing up every day and doing something where I can trust myself. Because if I am just sitting on my couch going, I wish I'm going to write a book, or someday I'm going to write a book, do I believe the words coming out of my mouth? No, I don't. If I say I'm going to wake up at 7:30 and go to the gym today, but that alarm clock goes off and I don't get up, do I trust the words coming out of my mouth that I'm going to get what I want? And the answer is no, because every time I say something, even on a small level, and I don't keep that word to myself, I'm breaking my trust in myself. Can you have confidence if you do not have trust that you're going to be okay, even if it doesn't work out? Well, that's the part of trust, right? So what does this look like? This looks like starting small. It means if you say, I'm going to get up at 7 o'clock in the morning, and you set your alarm clock, it's not hitting the snooze 2 times, 3 times, 5 times. It's setting the alarm clock and getting up when it goes off, because that's when you said you were going to get up. That's keeping your word to yourself. It doesn't have to be this big, amazing thing. It's sitting down and saying, I'm going to have a salad for lunch today, and actually having a salad for lunch today. It's so that you can look back at the end of the day and go, did I say what I mean what I said, and can I trust my word when I say it? Because you cannot be confident if you do not trust yourself, because confidence is that belief that it's going to be okay no matter what. And so we're not going to start with this big thing and say, I'm going to be confident, and then walk out into a room and go, I'm not confident. I don't know how to do this. We start small and continue to build those actions and that momentum behind us so that we can look back and go, oh, I know that when I say something, I mean it. And now I can continue that forward and build my confidence. So we have 3 lessons, right? We have courage. Courage is a decision. We have action is required to build confidence. And we have self-trust, meaning keeping your word to yourself. These are the 3 legs of building confidence. Because if you don't have one of those 3, then confidence isn't going to show up, because you won't have that foundation to have the belief in yourself that you can do what you say you're going to do, or that you can go after what it is that you want. Now, confidence does not mean success. And I want to be really clear about this, because there are plenty of professional sports players who were confident in their abilities, but they didn't make the all-star team, or they maybe didn't make the national team, or whatever that is. Confidence doesn't guarantee success, but it does guarantee that you know you're going to be okay regardless. So even if you fail, even if you fall off the rope, even if you struggle and run into a closed door, or an open one, as the case may be sometimes, confidence isn't, I'm going to be successful. It's, I'm going to be okay no matter what. That's the belief in yourself that comes with confidence. So that's kind of some basic teaching on it. Now, would you guys like to have a wonderful, very simple exercise to be able to tap into confidence instantaneously? Right? This is one of my favorite. I love this exercise because I use it all the time. Yeah, yes, please. I love that. So here's the deal. I'm going to make sure that you guys understand how to do this. We're going to talk about what you need to have to start. Then I'm going to walk you through the exercise, okay? So I want everybody to pick a hand. I don't care if it is your left hand or your right hand, your dominant hand or not. What you're going to do is I want to make sure that your thumb and your ring finger can connect in this weird looking okay thing, all right? So we're going to practice that because I'm going to tell you this is the motion that you are going to use to what's called anchor your confidence. So I don't care which hand you do it on, but it's a weird looking okay. Now we're going to use this because when I tell you to trigger that, that's going to tap into the confidence you already have in your body. And I'm going to showcase how you find that here in just a second. Now we do this because number one, that's not a normal, it's not a normal finger pattern. Why wouldn't I do the regular okay? Because I don't want you to inadvertently get this weird boost of confidence when you weren't prepared for it. Right? Because if you do this okay, and that's how you trigger confidence, man, you'll be like, okay, man, yeah, I totally get it. And all of a sudden you'll be like, man, why do I feel confident and ready to tackle the world? So we're doing it in a way that you have to intentionally trigger. And I'm going to talk about here in just a second, assuming that I still have time after we go through this, I'm going to talk about how to move it from that to putting it into other objects or how to teach your kids and all that type of stuff or anybody else how to tap into their confidence. But we're going to start this way. Okay. So that's the first thing, as long as you can do that. The second thing that you need to understand is what confidence looks like in your body. Okay. Now we're on Zoom. I am going to trust that you guys on Zoom are going to do this with me. In fact, I'm going to move this to gallery so I'm going to watch and see all y'all's faces, although half of y'all are off camera, which is totally fine, right? But here's the deal. Confidence, you can see it in somebody's body, right? Have you ever talked to somebody and you're like, dude, how was your day? And they're like, yeah, man, it was awesome. So awesome. You're like, did you tell your face that you had a good time? You can see when people are not authentically in the moment. Okay. So I'm going to do a quick demonstration for you guys here on Zoom. So if you can, for those of you that can see me, does confidence look like you sitting here going, oh my God, this woman is going to call on me and tell me what to do and ask me questions? It's probably not confident, right? My favorite one, I did this in the classroom. I sat down and I put my feet up on the desk and I'm like, is this confident? And everybody was like, yeah. And I said, no, that's being a jerk. There's a difference between being a jerk and being confident, right? So you're not going to stick your feet up on your desk. That's not what real confidence looks like, right? It's not hunched over. It's not leaning back in your chair going, please let this be done. It's sitting up, right? It's your shoulders are back and you're all about, this idea that the string is kind of almost, it's pulling you up, right? It's not, it's not rapid breathing. It's not going, I'm confident, right? It's not that. It's relaxed. But you're sitting up straight. Now your back can be up against the chair and you can still be confident, or you can be sitting a little bit forward. This is what confidence looks like in the body when you are sitting in a chair, right? Because you can see that in people. So when I tell you to remember a time that you were confident, and I'll give you a couple of examples, and I tell you to go enter into that state, I don't expect to see a bunch of people going, I'm totally confident right now. I'm entered into that state of confidence. Because if that's what you anchor, that's what your body is eventually going to pull into. So we're not going to do that. All right. So the next thing that we need is a moment when you were confident. This does not have to be a big moment. We stack starting small. So everybody who's like, I've not been confident a day in my life, I'll tell you BS. Because if you know that you want to feel confident, that means at least once in your life you felt confident, so that you know what that feeling is that you want more of. Okay. Here are examples that you can use for confidence, right? You answered a question and it was right. Okay. That feeling of, yeah, man, I got that right. Right. Sometimes it's, I woke up and knew exactly what my name was today. I'm damn confident that I knew that I woke up as Bobbie Maloy. If any of you guys woke up as Bobbie Maloy, I hate to say that is not the case. Right. But I'm confident that I woke up today and I knew what my name was. If that's where you start, that's where you start. Okay. If you start with, I put on this cute little jacket and yeah, man, I'm going to go rock the world today. These are moments of confidence that you can tap into. Okay. So I want you to pick one. It does not have to be a big one. It can be a small one. The idea is it's a moment where you were confident enough that we can go through this exercise. Okay. So I'm going to assume that everybody has at least one. If you don't have one, feel free to email me afterwards and I'll find your confidence for you. I promise. We'll find something, okay, that you can tap into, because you can also stack this anchor to build more confidence as you grow and find more things that you are confident about. Okay. So now that we kind of have the ground rules on how to do this exercise, I'm going to have you take a break for a minute. Well, not take a whole break, but I'm going to have you like relax a little bit, sit in your chair, take a deep breath. And I want you to think about a time you were confident, whatever this time was that you had come up with. Okay. I want you to embody what it was like in the moment. So you're going to see what you saw. You're going to hear what you heard and feel what you felt in your body. This is where your body will start doing things like maybe sitting up. It might start, that big sigh of just calming down, right? It's, you knew that you were confident in that moment. And when you are in that moment, not before, but when you are in this moment, remembering and embodying what it was like to be confident, I want you to take the weird okay and hold it while you are in this moment. Okay? So while you've got that, I'm going to have you release it and shake it off. And now you can do this completely muted, but I want everybody to tell me their phone number backwards. It's okay if you stay muted. I'm okay with that. But what's your phone number backwards? Say it out loud. La, 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 whatever that is. Mine is 4, 4,
7,
4.
3,
yeah,
7,
right. So yep, we okay, good.
4665513.
There we go. Jody, you weren't muted there, Joni, but that's all right. Now we've got it. Like, ooh, let's reverse engineer this. But anyway, so here's the deal. We did this because I wanted you to get out of whatever that moment was, so that right now, I want you to put your fingers together in the exact same way that you had when you triggered it. Your body will naturally start to move, or that moment will feel it. It doesn't mean it's strong, because right now we're just trying this. But re-triggering it, your body will start to naturally want to pull in the direction of what you felt like beforehand. Okay? If you fight it, you are telling your body, I don't want that. So don't fight it, right? Don't sit here and be like, okay, oh, no, we're not going to go that way. That defeats the purpose, right? So triggering it should start to, the more that you have these confident moments, or the larger moments of confidence that you have, the more this will start to pull your body into it, right? And so you'll go like this, and all of a sudden you'll just be like, whoa, man, is that not a shot of confidence? Here's what we really just set. We set an anchor for you to be able to trigger confidence in the moment. Okay. This is not permanent confidence. Okay. If you don't do anything with this trigger for 3 days, and then all of a sudden you're like, I remember this crazy woman showing me how to do this, like walking around trying to trigger it. You may not feel that pull, right? You may not feel it. But here in like 30 seconds, if you want to trigger it, you're like, dang, okay, I'm feeling it. It's pulling me. Right? At the conference, I told everybody, if you walk around me like this, I'm going to know exactly what you're doing. Be like, I'm so confident I can walk in and talk to anybody now. But this is designed to give you that boost so that you can have those 20 seconds of courage to take the action to then trust yourself that you will build this confidence over time. Right? And this is how you can tap into the confidence you already have. You can then build on it, because if you continue to trigger your confidence trigger and it works a little bit, great, it's working. Then you can say, oh, look, I did this other thing that made me feel confident. And you can do the same exercise to trigger on the same trigger, more confidence, till eventually you have enough confidence to, submit an application to give a NOAHCon talk when you didn't know that you knew anybody there. And you could just be like, heck yes, we're going to do this. You would not believe the number of people that told me, this is your first NOAHCon and you presented?
I'm taking names of everybody on this call right now, just so you all know.
Karen, this isn't meant to be a
That's
setup.
That's part 2 in Bobbie's series.
That's right.
Making you host a NOAH session. No.
This is a recruitment thing? Oh, man. Awesome. I'm ready. Awesome. Sign me up.
Nobody is going to show up to my sessions ever again. So here's the deal. You can use this for anything, right? You can use it for the phone call that you need to have that you've been putting off, that you may or may not have felt the confidence to have. You can use this trigger to boost your confidence so that you have the courage, the action, and the trust to go do the thing that you need to do so that you can have the confidence afterwards to go, you know what? But did you die? Nope. Sometimes that's all the confidence you need, right? You can use this before you go into a test, before you have to raise your hand because you're going to answer the teacher or go and ask for a raise, all these different things. There are ways that you can tap into this instant boost of confidence. Now, I have to be careful. Now, I had a couple of parents that were in at NOAHCon, and I was like, you can transfer this to your kids, right? It doesn't have to be, here in your finger, which some children can do, some children can't. That's fine. But if your kids have a favorite stuffy, guess what's in the stuffy? Confidence. Now, I did say you will also have to talk to your O&M, but if you had stuffy on one side and you're doing cane work on the other side, talk to your O&M. I am not an O&M. Please make sure that works for them. Guess what you can do? You can transfer confidence between things. And it's done in that action of I'm holding confidence in one way, shape, or form, and I am transferring and triggering the confidence into this. Okay, so it can mesh. You can pass it on. You can put it in your glasses, which is how I originally realized this whole thing called triggering. I didn't need glasses at first when I first was on computers, but every time I wore my computer glasses, which back in the day were like yellow, right? It had the yellow tint because it was offsetting the blue light. Every time I would wear glasses, people were like, man, you're so much smarter. And I'm like, than this? Yes. So guess what I found? I started wearing glasses so much I now actually need them. And that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. It's got nothing to do with the fact that I have more gray hairs than I had before, or I'm aging, or that my arms are growing shorter. Nope. It's everything to do with the fact that I was just wearing glasses every day to make sure that people thought that I was smart. It's my story, and I'm sticking to it. But that's where I learned that you can trigger, you can anchor anything. You can put it into a jacket. Have you ever noticed that you can put on an outfit and now all of a sudden you're acting as if you're something else? That's what we're doing. We're triggering the confidence to be able to act as if we are confident so that we can then build this sequence of confident moments so that we all of a sudden will look back and be like, yeah, I was pretty confident that that was going to work. So that's how you tap into confidence. Now, at the conference, I gave a resource for you to download should you want that actually walks you through this exercise so that you can take it home, do it on your own time, all this type of stuff. You can access that by going to my website. It is alignedselfmethod.com/NOAH. I'm sure you know how to spell that.
Maybe we can put that in the chat.
Yep, I can absolutely drop that link in the chat.
That would be awesome.
In just a second.
Okay.
It's how to instantly tap into confidence in 5 minutes or less, which is what I just walked you through, minus all of the reason on why you want to download this, so that you can do this over and over and over again. Because again, this is not a permanent anchor; it's a temporary anchor. It can become permanent if you continue to use it, and then you are able to instantly tap into confidence so that you can have those 20 seconds of insane courage, 20 seconds of fearless bravery to do the thing you've always wanted to do and tap into confidence.
Yay! Thank you, Bobbie. That was awesome. And yeah, if you'd like to put that link in the chat, we'd love to see it. I can also send it in the the follow-up email that I send everybody with the recording of this in it.
Absolutely.
So I know it's getting a little late, but we still have about 10-15 minutes to play with. Bobbie, are you okay with taking questions if anyone has any questions or comments?
Let's do it.
Okay, so yeah, anybody, you can put a question or a comment in the chat, or you can just unmute yourself and speak it. That's fine too.
Have the confidence to unmute it.
Have the confidence.
I have something to say.
Yeah.
I do.
Oh, thank you. Who was that?
It's me, Kathy Garza.
Oh, Kathy. Why didn't I recognize your voice?
Of course I have something to say in a comment. I actually just really want, I actually just, one of the things that was a big takeaway that I wish I had, thought about a lot sooner is the idea that, that confidence is the belief that you will be okay no matter what. Because I think a lot of us think of confidence as like, oh yeah, we can do this, we got this. And it's not the metric of winning or losing or getting the job or not getting the job. It's the act. Confidence is the physical act of going out and doing it and believing that you're going to be, whether you get it or not, you're going to be fine. Whether you get lost on the bus or not, you're going to be alive. You're going to figure it out. You have a backup plan, like that kind of stuff. And so I think that's really cool. And it's really cool to teach, to give that to your kids too, or like students or whoever, that it's not confident that you're going to win or all the time or whatever. It's just that you have the ability to try and you'll be okay no matter what.
Mm-hmm.
Because what's funny? Failure is actually the biggest part of growth and learning you can have. Right? So if I'm going to take that one step further, if you always succeed, then you're not actually learning anything. You're not growing. Right? But those failures, that's how you learn, first of all, how to not do the thing, right? You're like, okay, great. That very specific combination of things didn't work for me. This is why, was it Thomas Edison went through 10,000 variations of the light bulb? He found 999,000 ways to not do it. But he found one that did. Right? He had the confidence he was going to figure out electricity and how to figure out light. He had the confidence. He wasn't guaranteed success, but he also didn't give up until he got it.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, failure is just feedback it is not the end of the world. It is how you grow. And the confidence is knowing that you will be okay no matter what. Anyone else? Questions, queries, posers, sarcastic remarks? I'll take all.
Bobbie, I was wondering if you, not to get totally off topic here, but you said you wanted to write, you mentioned wanting to write a book. Would you like to talk a little about the book you wrote?
Why, I would. I mean, it sits over my
I thought I
shoulder.
saw it. I thought that was.
So I did. I am actually officially a published author. I did write a book. My second one is almost ready to be published and be out. This one's called Healing Your Inner Child. You can get it on Amazon. You can find it on my website. There's lots of different ways to get access to it. And yes, it took confidence. It took courage. It took action to do that. But yes, there's the result from that. And that is one of the many things. The next book's title is currently Transform Your Relationship with Money. So you want to talk about a fun one that requires some confidence to write. I have failed at so many things in my life, and yet I am still here. Right? And I want everybody here and everybody that listens to understand this one thing. You have survived 100% of the days that you have lived so far. Yep. No matter how bad it was, no matter how great it was, or how completely crazy the day was, you have survived it. And that is awesome. Okay. Your survival rate, your success rate of making it through the world is pretty darn good. Okay. And so no matter what you've done in your life and what you've failed at, and at the conference, I gave a list of all the things I failed in my life. And yet I am still here. And I have the experiences and the ability to continue going forward and share this, gift with as many people as I can.
Also, this is Kathy again. Just for anybody who's curious about this, you can also get that book, Healing Your Inner Child, on Audible. In format. Yeah, you see? Look at this. I know how to work a room here.
Yes, you can. I have it digitally. I have the physical copy. You can get it on Audible. It's available in all those formats.
And the second one is really good too. Spoiler alert, because I already read it.
Ugh, lucky me.
I have a question.
Yes.
So your third point about keeping your word to yourself, I think was really interesting. Mm-hmm. And I didn't know if you had thoughts on keeping your word to yourself with a specific goal that you want to build confidence in versus just all the things we have going on, right? And I don't know if anyone else tends to overcommit. I'm sure many of us do, right? But how do you sort of balance that? I'm keeping my word to myself in this piece and maybe not keeping my word to myself in this piece, but that's okay because I'm still keeping my word to myself in that piece, right? Like you can win some and lose some each day. So I don't know if you have thoughts on how to position that.
Yes. First of all, great question. Second of all, what you're talking about is actually two very different things. I'm going to break it down a little bit and then answer your question, okay? So there is a difference between, for lack of a better word, we'll call it people pleasing and saying yes to everything because you don't feel confident enough to say no, and keeping your word to yourself. Okay, those are two different things. If we're overbooked and overcommitted because we have a hard time saying no, that is different than self-trust.
Okay.
So I want to make sure that I separate the two because I don't want to tell you that they're both fixed the same way. Okay. But in those moments when you are talking to yourself, those are the commitments that you can start building self-trust, right? When you say, I am going to eat healthier, or I'm going to go out with friends and only have 2 beers. Those moments, those are the small moments where self-trust is built, right? And that is different than I've said yes to everybody and now I'm screwed because I'm overbooked and I don't want to let anybody down, but I also don't know how to advocate for myself and my time. That is very different than the self-trust of keeping your word to yourself. And I want you to understand that neither one is right or wrong. If it's something, though, that you're struggling with and saying, I've got 30 things to do today and I only have the time to really take care of 4, that is a different problem than self-trust on the surface, and probably a little bit deeper as well.
That makes sense. Thank you.
But also an amazing question. Thank you.
Great. All right. I think we have time for one more if anyone has any, but if not, that's okay too. Well, thank you, Bobbie, so much. Bobbie Maloy, everyone. This was awesome, and I have recorded this, so I will be sending this recording out via email within the next week or so, and also the link to your website. So to Bobbie's website.
Absolutely.
So yeah, this was awesome, and I hope everyone keeps practicing your weird okay, as you called it. I think that was what you called it.
I did. Doesn't it look like a weird okay?
It does look like
that's
a weird
what it
okay.
is.
It does, but I really enjoyed this too, and I'm glad we got to experience it for everyone who was not at NOAHCon or who was there who couldn't come, or whatever your situation was. I'm glad we got to experience it here together. So thank you so much, Bobbie, and thank you everybody for taking time out of your night to come hang with
Thank you,
us.
Bobbie.
Thank you. Have a good night, everyone. Bye.